During the last day, I've been going through a little bit of a struggle. This is something that I just can't get behind. I will go ahead and get this part out of the way. The concept of a simple defund of the police, in the sense of maybe we shouldn't have them so militaristic, spend so much money on such military style equipment, things like that. Simple reforms such as that, you'll get no argument out of me on. Okay? We're talking about better mental evaluation of people going into the force. Absolutely. Won't dispute any of that. But I'm seeing far too many people taking it one extra step. Here's what's so crazy about that. The progressives, and I say that very loosely, the progressives that believe that destroying the police departments all across the country, just getting rid of the police entirely, that's progress. You're taking us back in time. Understand? You're taking us back. What have I seen as the proposal? Let's just start with the one that I brought up yesterday from an article. Now, the gentleman who had shared this on Twitter has confessed to me he is an anarchist. So that explains a hell of a lot here. Okay? But what it advocates for is, number one, okay, getting rid of police, but taking supposed, former potentially violent criminals who've supposedly rehabilitated themselves and making them this mediation type of thing. Okay? Wow. Okay. Again, there's going to be a lot of people who are uncomfortable with that, just in general. Okay? Number two, the decriminalization of almost all non-violent crime. Well, I brought up identity theft. They said that's a violent crime. I don't think the law considers it a violent crime. You might think it's violent because it hurts someone without physically hurting them, but unfortunately the law does not necessarily agree with you. There was no physical violent interaction in these, forms of violence that a lot of the left speaks of that don't involve physical action. That's not really defined in the law. The only thing that might be defined is harassment and bullying of some degree, but identity theft really doesn't fall into that column. Okay. So again, you got a problem there. Then you had the idea of community direct democracies. Okay. So we're going to have everyday jury duty. Gee, where have I heard of communities trying to govern themselves and maybe that not working so well? I got it. The Salem witch trials. All they had to do was call someone a heretic or a witch, and guess what? They were killed. This is the kind of crap that happens when there is no law to govern people, and they can just all of a sudden decide on a whim to make their own rules and laws. I think it was said best in the John Adams series when Alexander Hamilton was debating back and forth with Thomas Jefferson. And Alexander Hamilton made the quote, "If people were angels, there would be no need for government in the first place." Same thing could be said for police and laws. If people were that morally righteous, they could really differentiate all this right and wrong in the first place, we wouldn't need a government. everyone would be fair to each other, everyone would do right by each other, you wouldn't need this. But that's the problem. There's too many people who don't have the sense that God give a damn billy goat's ass. This would be an utter failure and you will wreck our fucking country. Period. I can't get behind something that's like that. And then I've even seen people take it as far as to say we should get rid of the police because there's piracy on the roads, because there's too many police issuing too many traffic tickets. So we should eliminate the police because they have ticket quotas. Again, that's something you could look at as a reform to get rid of this whole quota bullshit. But eliminate the police as a whole over that. I'm sure. Look. With the police on the roads today, how many traffic fatalities do you have? How many people get behind the wheel of a car intoxicated, high or drunk, and go drive? And how many people have died from it? How many people die because of distracted driving, texting on a phone, doing their fucking makeup, all kinds of shit? How many people die or are badly injured because of distracted driving with cops on the road? How many get injured or killed because of simple reckless driving, because someone gets behind a car and wants to show the hell off, don't control it, boom? How many cases of that do you have? Now imagine how it's going to look when you take cops off the roads entirely. Lunacy. It's the only thing I can say. This is absolute lunacy that people actually think this is somewhat of a good idea. And it really disturbs me about what the future of our country is going to look like if this is the minds behind the future of the country. Because this is fucking scary. It really is. If this is going to be the critical thinkers of tomorrow, I don't want to be alive to see what happens. Because our country is going to go to hell in a handbasket without a doubt. Without a doubt. Here's what's going to happen when you take the police off the road because of your traffic tickets. All those wrecks that we see a lot of now are going to absolutely skyrocket. Your car insurance is going to go through the absolute roof. What was that smart ass on Twitter's response to that? Well, you've clearly never heard of a self-driving car. And you've clearly never heard of prices, man. Average American can't afford a self-driving car. A self-driving Tesla car costs about as much as a small house here in South Carolina. They can't afford that. And most Americans drive somewhere between a 1990 to maybe mid to late 2000s sedan, SUV, or truck. And except for maybe a small percentage when you get into the later 2000s, they're not self-driving vehicles either. And with poverty rising, who the hell's going to be able to afford those self-driving vehicles? Lunacy. Absolute lunacy. I really have no other words for it. I mean, that's just exactly what it is. The fact people think that this is a smart plan, that this is the way to go forward, really bothers me. Someone asked me on Twitter, well then what's my proposal on how to fix this situation? Well, your proposal is pretty much because there's a problem with it to get rid of the entire thing. And I would compare that to if I had a tumor on my brain that required a surgery, I would only want the surgeon to attempt to remove the tumor. What I wouldn't want is the surgeon to remove my whole fucking brain because it has a tumor. That's stupid. But yet that seems to be the solution given by these folks. The police who uphold the law of the country, because there's a problem, get rid of the entire thing instead of reform it properly. Say no more. That spoke for itself. It absolutely spoke for itself right there. That's the mentality people are coming into this with. Not everyone. I know not everyone agrees with that. What worries me is in the climate of today, where we continue to see more and more of these police incidents happen, and people are not trying to address it the proper way. And then you've got a president who is defending what those Buffalo cops did to that 70-something-year-old man, and he's making a defense of that. Not only that, but then causing Secret Service to get the protesters out of his way so we can go to a church and pose with a Bible. He's instigating every damn bit of it. And so you couple that in with what we continue to see, who knows where this is going to end up? Who knows where this is going to end up? All I can say is that if this is where the growing support is going, again, I gave my stance on the defunding of the police. And if you're doing that rationally, I can see a point to that. It's just like defunding the military to an extent. Deleting them as a whole, no. And if that is the direction that more people start to want to take us in, I can't get behind that. I really can't. If that's where people think the solution is at, then there's no reason for me to give my input on it, because it's going to result in one thing and one thing only. And that is, people, if they think that's the answer, are not going to agree with me. I'm going to be who I am. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to call it like I see it. That's not going to resonate with a lot of folks, and they'll just unsubscribe and stop tuning in. So what's the point? It's just going to crash and burn anyway. What's the deal? Just run this train into the ground? I don't really see much sense in that. So I'm going to be stepping away for a little while. I'm going to see what happens with this situation, but what I have read that people think is an answer to what we're seeing right now disturbs the hell out of me. And if that's where people think the solution's really at, I don't think there's a hope for this country, because we are going to destroy it. That's my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. That's where my stance is on this. So, as I said, I'm going to be stepping away for a while. And depending on what happens, I might come back. I will continue to appear on shows as I'm invited to them. But right now, seeing what I'm seeing, I'm giving this last message today. And then I might come back and continue this later on. Then again, I might not. We'll just have to see what happens when that time comes. So hopefully people wake up and realize, when you want to fix a problem, target the root of the problem. But for some reason, today's society just seems to not have that much common sense. And that's really sad. It's really disappointing. And quite frankly, as I said, it scares me for the future of tomorrow. So until next time, this is Charles Anderson, the Vigilant Independent, signing off. And I hope and pray that America can wake up and finally get its head out of its ass and start going about things the right way, and start actually trying to fix our problems by attacking the root of the problem, not targeting innocents that are not involved in your problem, or trying to dismantle the core things that have made us a more civilized society, instead of trying to now do things that are regressive and take us back to Salem witch trial era style of community policing, and letting, unvetted, basically community jurors decide the fate of everything coming and going, because that is not the way to move forward. It's the way to move backward. So until next time, I'll be praying for America. And again, tune in Big Talk, Little Talk, or some of the other channels you've seen me on. I'll still be making appearances, but I don't know for sure what the future of this channel is going to hold for now. All of you take care, and I'll see you down the road.